Okay. I have to be like gentle every time going in this because I don't want to blow out your eardrums if the mic is messing up. It should be fine. How do we sound, everybody? Let me know in the chat. And while you're doing it, out of 10, let me know what you thought of the 2025 Fresh from Florida 250. We're back. It's truck night in America, baby. We're back. Um, I have to say, I think a lot of people are going to be pretty happy with the way that that race ended up. Uh, I would not be surprised whatsoever. Parker Kligerman is, I would say, a pretty popular driver, and I would also say Parker Kligerman is a pretty clean and respected driver by his competition. And Parker Kligerman ends up getting the victory. We will put the unofficial results on the bottom soon. It will probably change. It might have changed when I read it off compared to what the ticker says. So we're just gonna roll with that. But this race was 100 laps long. We did not end up going overtime. We didn't go extra laps. We didn't do any of that. We, you know, we had a for a truck series race at Daytona, relatively clean one. Still wasn't clean by any means, but uh decent enough. I would personally give it about a 7 or 8 out of 10 for truck standards. I think the broadcast actually ruined it more than anything. I think the racing itself, we saw long green flag runs at different points. We saw green flag pit stops pop up, which I don't think any of us were really, I would say, predicting coming into this race. So overall, I thought a pretty, you know, decent truck race, all things considered. So I am going to refresh NASCAR.com's live leaderboard. This race is 100 laps, 8 cautions for 32 laps. Margin of victory, there wasn't one because it did end under caution. 2 hours, 9 minutes, 7 seconds was the runtime. 30 lead changes on the night. I wish I could share my screen without everything else popping up from NASCAR.com, but they have a really cool thing where they actually show the green versus yellow when it comes to like what condition we were under during the race at different points. I think that's pretty cool on NASCAR's part. But this is what they have so far. So Parker Kligerman, of course, is the leader. From there, you got Corey Heim in second, Gio Ruggiero in third. Great night for him. Then Ty Majeski in fourth, Grant Enfinger fifth, Justin Haley in seventh or sixth. Seventh is the 38 of Chandler Smith. Eighth, Daniel Hemrick. Jason White is in the ninth spot, and William Sawalich rounds out the top 10. A lot of people might like this, though. Frankie Muniz will come home in the 11th position on the night. So a solid night for Frankie Muniz. Solid way to start the year. Avoided the wrecks. Timmy comes home in the 12th spot. Jake Garcia in the 13 is 13th. Mason Maggio is 14th. And then Norm Benning stayed out of trouble all night, ran top 20 for a good portion of the night, comes home in the 15th spot. Andres Perez comes home in 16th. Johnny Sauter 17th. Lane Riggs 18th. Spencer Boyd 19th. Josh Rayum finishes out the top 20. From there, we have Ben Rhodes in 21st, Bailey Curry in 22nd, and Tanner Gray in the 23rd position. We'll close out the guys on the lead lap. A lap off is Stuart Friesen and Jack Wood. I believe they didn't make it. They might have made it back to the line, actually. Dawson Sutton, 2 down. Same with Michael McDowell in 27th. 28th, Matt Crafton, also 2 laps down to end the night. And Tony Breidinger comes home 4 laps down. She had an early instant, came back to run, actually top 10, I believe. Might have even been top 5. Gets caught up in another instant. Matt Mills rounds out the top 30, 5 laps down in that position. Raja Karuth out of the race, and the rest of these guys, for the most part, are out with trouble. Raja Karuth involved in one of those big crashes, 31st position on the night for Raja. Then Nathan Bird, 32nd out of the race. Connor Mosack, 21 laps down. Before the race, they were behind the wall because the only gear they had was reverse. I don't know how that happens other than the fact that there is, not enough practice. Uh, not enough practice in general. There needs to be more practice in speed weeks. That should not happen. After Mosak, though, 21 down for Mosak. Then the rest of these guys out. Clay Greenfield in 34th, Tyler Ankrum 35th, and Caden Honeycutt last tonight, 36th position. Believe that's the order they had at the end of the race. We will pop that as the unofficial results on the bottom of the screen now. So if you missed when I was reading through, there is where your drivers would be. But let's talk a bit about this race. And we'll talk about Fox in a bit. Of course, that's going to be a recurring theme that we talk about all year long with Fox Broadcasting. But let's talk more about the race itself. Because I actually thought, like I said, that when it wasn't on commercial or under caution, the racing was actually pretty good. It was actually, I would say, pretty decent. But I think the biggest part that everyone's going to want to talk about, and we're going to pop up a poll for this, should NASCAR have thrown a yellow? Because I know this is similar to what we had last night. Not exactly the same, though. I want to cover my bases on that, but it is similar. But should NASCAR have thrown a yellow? I think this one's actually going to be a little bit more in the middle, just because there were multiple incidents. You had the first one where they were kind of sliding, and I get that. But I'm torn a little bit because the racing fan in me just wants to see the top 3 or 4 race it to the finish. Screw what's going on behind them. Let them all be under caution and let them, up front race. On the other end, that was a lot more different than the dual finish. It wasn't like they were all crashing right next to the line. It wasn't like it was 100 feet away from the line. They were still in 3 and 4 when everyone's crashing. More people piling in. ARCA brakes galore. Cats and dogs living together. It's pandemonium. I personally am going to lean towards, I think the yellow was, I don't think it was a bad yellow personally. I know people aren't going to want to hear that. I know that a lot of people are going to, probably, I'll probably get one of the NASCAR shill names thrown at me or something like that. But for this one, I think it's a lot different than what we saw last night. It wasn't like they threw it when the line is right there. There were 3 cars left or 3 trucks left in the field. There was crashing still going on through 3 and 4 and all that. I will say, I think that maybe throwing the caution a little sooner. Sure. I don't think the one with the 2 trucks sliding completely out of the way should be a caution, but they were starting to crash into 3 and 4. It sucks. And a good point here. At least the right person won. Parker Kligerman deserved to win this race. He deserved to go out there and, just get the win, not taken away the way that Eric Jones did. It was clear he was in front, all of that. I do wish at some point, maybe, like, I don't know how you would do it, but I kind of wish that at some point you would, you maybe would, I don't know, like, have certain drivers not be able to hear the yellow being called out, or effectively they're not under yellow and they can race back when there's, no issue in front of them. But I know at the same time that would probably really, really muddy it up. I think that's probably a big problem that NASCAR would have, and they've never been really big on cautions for some or not others, or like cautions at certain parts of the track, stuff like that. I get wanting to be consistent. It's just, it is frustrating, and this is from somebody who wants like a lot of overtimes taken away. I'm willing to have a few races end under yellow at different points, but I can also fully admit that it is so frustrating watching a race go under yellow at the finish like that, especially when I think in general the racing was pretty good. Local yellows at super speedways. Yes, why not? Uh, it's frustrating, but I think this one is different than what we saw last night. I wish it was different in the sense that they could have raced it to the end, but unfortunately, that's not what we were looking at. Um, there were some standouts in this race too. Gio is the big one. He made a name for himself tonight. I think he very clearly made a name for himself, racing at the front. Came home with a third place finish. I guarantee he's going to be probably upset with that after leading so much of this race and being up there. But I mean, a lot of you guys talking. I mean, he has made a name for himself, and it's going to be interesting away from a super speedway after Atlanta, what he can do in those trucks. Those are some pretty decent trucks, I would say personally. I'm just saying. It'd be pretty interesting if he could race like that at other places. But doing that at Daytona, you're going to make a name for yourself going in. Yes, he is full time. And yes, many of you are on the screen. But we're going to end the poll here, by the way, after almost 300 votes. 61% of you said that NASCAR should have thrown a yellow at the finish, to the 39% saying no. By the way, click that like button if you would. Be sure to bring those up and subscribe as well if you're new here and you want to talk in the chat. We're going to be live after Xfinity, after the 500, before the 500 on Wednesday for NWP. We do a lot of live streamings here, man. So I'd love to have you come and join us on all those. Timmy Hill was up there. Yeah, I see again. It was like, how about Timmy Hill? Matt Crafton looked pretty good tonight. Like, there were some guys that showed out that even at super speedway standards, we're not used to seeing them show out. So I'd say tonight was fun seeing so many new names and old names even in new places and doing different things. Chandler Smith up there. I mean, that dude is on the tightrope between being a weapon and being dominant. Like and he always falls one way or another. And yes, of course, Norm Benning, top 15 finish tonight in that 6 machine. He was really excited. I think he had said something. The quote was that I've went to the doctor for this racing bug, but he can't do anything for me. And I love that. It's the same one where he was interviewed after a truck race. And he's like, "How's my hair look? How's my hair look?" I love that Norm Benning has become like the face of underdogs in NASCAR, and you all are spamming Norm in the chat. It's pretty cool. It's weird. I have shirts for more than one Norm, both Norm Benning and Norm McDonald. Yeah, that's right, Noah. He ain't lifting. Never lift. And let's get into the race, though. Let's talk a bit point by point in the race. And I'd say after the first stage, we can talk a little bit about the Fox side of it. For those leaving super chats and member chats and all of that, we will look at that after we talk about the race itself and go through kind of the summary with it. So let's jump on in. We're here for you guys. You guys are here to talk about the truck race. So Ben Rhodes sat on the pole tonight. The thumbnail driver sat on the pole tonight. I did not plan it that way. That was the best picture that any of the teams had available. Early on, ThorSport looked pretty good up towards the front. You had the 99, you had the 66, the 98. At one point, they were 1, 2, 3 leading the pack. And you already saw early on, even before the first caution, this was going to be a night. This was going to be truck night in America. You had Clay Greenfield getting shuffled out onto the apron. He was all safe, though, but just flies out onto the apron. You have then Caden Honeycutt be the first of many drivers tonight coming out of turn 4, get loose, spin down the racetrack, slide into the inside wall. We talked about it last night after the duels. We talked about it after 500 qualifying on Wednesday night on NWP. This Daytona is more of a handling track. Definitely more of a handling track than it was beforehand. And I like it. That's the Daytona I grew up on, was Daytona that you had to be both great at drafting and great at handling. And I think we're quickly seeing that come back into fruition a little bit. I won't say it's back just yet. I think it has another 5 to 10 years before we're really talking about these packs that kind of spread out because of how bumpy it is and stuff like that. But it is well on its way to being back. But he spins, gets loose, really doesn't even get hit, I don't think, by the 38 behind him. And you see this happen again with Tony Breidinger about 10 laps later. She has the same issue, doesn't have as much damage. She's able to come back from it a little bit. But during this as well, I mean, you have power issues for the 88. Of course, we talked about Mosak behind the wall before the race even started. Telling him, man, gotta get some more practices. Gotta get more track time during speed weeks. And it was a great start this year, getting it on Wednesday before Daytona 500 qualifying. I think we need more of that for all the series. I think this should, if you're gonna have any weekend with multiple practice sessions for any series, if not all of them, this is it. This is the biggest race of the year, viewership wise, for I think pretty much every series. You got to have everything tightened up and ready to go. We can't have these kind of issues popping up left and right at the start of the year. And I know it's on the teams to prepare their trucks, but that's also what practice is for the teams. So I'm gonna keep pushing that, man. I know a lot of people are, speed week. I've been corrected. True. Very true. But after the Breidinger incident, again, she just got loose off 4. They get it, run back around. They have a 1-lap shootout restart to decide the stage. Ben Rhodes wins it over Sauter, Enfinger, Chandler Smith, Corey Heim, then Tanner Gray, Majeski, Hemrick, Perez, and Ruggiero. Ruggiero, I think is how you say it. Still new to me. Speed half week, actually. True. Very true. Days of Tona. I like these. They're very creative. But overall, I think, it's about what we were expecting. I was not expecting anything less from a truck race at Daytona. And under yellow, Ben Rhodes' crew is under the hood as well. So kind of pushing that there as well. How about this? We'll go through the second stage and we'll kind of talk about Fox, because I know a lot of people want to talk about Fox. I feel like I'm going to say a lot of the same things. I feel like I am, but we're going to roll into it. We're going to talk about it a little more, see what stuff they've gotten better at, haven't gotten better at. Some of the changes this year, hopefully they'll be the booth, all of it. So getting it back going, Haley then takes the lead as they get into stage number 2. And this is where we start seeing the 3-wide racing. I think Parker Kligerman was the one who actually led that lineup. Kligerman was aggressive tonight in the way that you have to be to win at Daytona, even now, 5, 10, 15 years ago, just in general. Like, to win at Daytona, you had to be aggressive, but you had to be aggressive in the right ways. And I think Parker Kligerman he was the one leading the middle or high line up to the front early on and through the middle and then end of this race. That kind of aggression will win you Daytona races and Talladega and now Atlanta. And so it's just 3 by 3 by 3 through the field. And for the longest time, it's just Enfinger and Rhodes and Kligerman just swapping the lead back and forth. And it wasn't like it was gridlock either. Like, there was some gridlock at times, but because of mess ups, because of the way the draft is, because of the way these trucks are, there was at least the ability to move around, which is why when people criticize the cup package for the 2x2 trains or the 3x3 trains, but not the trucks instead, it's because there is a real difference. You can see the difference in how they race. But in all of it, though, through a 3x3 for the most part, top 19 breakaway. The ThorSport trucks get them all together. The 88, the 99, the 98, they're 1, 2, 3. And they win the stage that way. Crafton, Rhodes, and Majeski, 1, 2, 3 in the stage, and Chandler Smith, Wood, Friesen, Hemrick, Heim, Kligerman, and Raja, the top 10. And this is where we'll talk about Fox. I know a lot of you guys have been wanting to talk about it. And this is a big part too, because a lot of people were noticing the IndyCar ads, and you know what? Good for IndyCar. Yeah, they chose the smart decision viewership wise. We'll see how it pays off over time. But Fox tonight was not good. Was not good even for modern Fox standards, even for FS1 truck standards. They brought Kevin Harvick in the booth with Joey Logano. They got Parsons and Michael Waltrip at least for a week out of the booth, which I think less Mikey in the booth is a very good thing, and it should stay that way. Harvick brought, I'd say Harvick brought for the most part his A game. He was correcting his two co-commentators tonight, which sucks to see because you shouldn't have to hear that on a live sports broadcast, but it is what it is. You know, we kind of all knew what we were getting into with that. Joey is good enough. Definitely doesn't know how to call crashes. It's like, you know, he gets all energetic and then he turns into that one call that Clint Boyer had where he's like, oh, he got turned. Like, but Jamie Little as the lead. There are so many, I think, viable and worthy commentators through the lower ranks, and I've named them off before. I don't see any reason why somebody who is clearly just not in the right element is still up there. And fans have been vocal about it. I'm sure many people within the industry have been at least, you know, vocal enough to talk about it. I don't understand why they just keep trying to make, you know, Jamie Little a thing up there. You know, fetch is not going to become a thing. All right. I know a lot of people saying Rick Allen, John. I mean, people are missing Vince Welch in the chat. I mean, this is crazy because Vince Welch was not good either. Good person, just, you know, same with Jamie Little. Great pit reporters, not good lead commentators. And I'm not saying I would do any better either. You know, I know people have heard me on iRacing broadcast with John, but that is very different from a live sports broadcast. It is. I am not saying I would be better, but I know there are people who are better. You know, I don't know if Rick Allen would go back to trucks after being the lead commentator in the Cup Series for so long, but I'll take Rick Allen. I'll take any of the guys from Flow, a lot of them from Racing America. You know, like there are some very good sports and racing talented commentators out there. We should not be trying to make a pit reporter a commentator when it's not working. But you know, that was rough. They never followed the fastest lap, by the way, which is a thing in all three series. The whole Xfinity fastest lap, like they popped it on screen at Daytona. I don't know who won that tonight. I don't know who had the fastest lap. And, you know, unless I'm misreading the rule, that is something in the top three series that gives you a bonus point every race. That is something that should be followed every race. There should be a specific spot, whether it be, you know, anytime it's broken or any, you know, on the main ticker, that should be up there. And there you go. Multiple people here. Completely forgot about it. Completely forgot that was a thing. Yeah, never stated it. That I don't care if, you know, it's a truck series, right? Like it's a truck series. Who cares? No. That should be something in a major league in any way that should be followed. It just should. And the fact that most of you didn't even remember it, like, that's not on you. That's on the broadcast. You know, and so I was put on the screen at Daytona. I don't know, maybe if I can check Twitter really quick. I guess maybe somebody has it up there. But you know, and by the end of the day, it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. But like the fact that I have to go up and look on X or whatever. Though, let's see. The closest thing we have to it is, well, second. Man, so close. Second place in the fastest lap, at least at one point during the night, was Norm Benning, which is awesome. If I'm Xfinity, I'd be pissed. Like, if you're paying for that to be broadcast in the top 3 series and that never gets mentioned, like, why is that not getting mentioned? Is it because it's, Fox? Are we not gonna hear about it for the first 2/3 of the year? Like, what's the deal here, guys? Uh, Not crazy about that. And I don't really I looked up truck fastest lap, and nothing in the last hour has been tweeted either. Like, I don't know. Like, if somebody can let me know, let me know. Um, you know, if somebody finds out, because I'm not gonna spend the entire time looking up stuff on X, Twitter, Instagram, wherever the hell I gotta look for it. I'm just not. That's not, that's not something that I should do. So Lane Riggs got it. Okay, that's in the chat what Ryan here is saying. I'll pop it up on screen. So Lane Riggs got it. I hope that CW does better tomorrow night, and I hope that Fox covers it at least in some way on a graphic during the Daytona 500, um, because that's just unacceptable. Some other things. There was sound issues. I don't know. Maybe it was on my end, but a few times tonight you could tell the sound was not synced up, or they didn't have the car sounds going, or truck sounds, I should say, going by. Um, that's pretty rough too. Like, that's stuff that I feel like should be fixed. And the commercials, we kind of all expected. It sounds like Sunday should be better, just because they have really pushed for side by side. So I'm happy about that. I hope they keep that going. But that was, yeah, okay. So I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only one that heard mess ups. I thought I was for a second because I didn't see too much, people saying it. Yeah, and then Sunday, by the way, start time's been moved up an hour. So we'll be starting the Great American Race at 1:30 Eastern time to kind of avoid the rain. I like the call, by the way. I really like that call from NASCAR. We'll be live about an hour before Fox's pre-race, by the way. We'll go live for about an hour, talk about the main things and stuff like that. So be sure to join us there, and then after the race, of course, we'll be live after the race. I'm sure there's plenty that there's going to be to talk about. So then, yeah, we know that 1:30 means two. But I'm a blue Jimmy here. W move. And you know what? Fingers crossed, we might be able to get the whole thing run all in one day, maybe even continuously. But let's get to the final stage here, because this is where stuff just starts going full truck. So get it back going on lap 46, just 4 laps short of halfway. And it's Hemrick that's up there, and it's just lines back and forth. Like, I'm not going to go through every lead change. There were like 30 of them. Of course, the first caution of the stage came with Tyler Ankrum blowing up. Dawson Sutton would spin behind him in the oil. They were very lucky, I think, that was where it was in the pack, because if that was like at the front of the pack, I guarantee you're seeing a bunch of guys flying up the track and getting into the wall and stuff like that. They get it back going again. And this point, we're starting to get spread out a bit. And this is where we have green flag pit stops. Most of the Chevys come in one lap. The Toyotas come in another. Fords, they have a different strategy, which I respect, of staying out longer and just trying to make up speed and laps and get the draft of those cars or trucks that already had pit. And had it went green, that probably would have been the way to go, or at least would have been a decent way to go, to have, all of that. But we had a long green flag run in this race, which I really respect. Almost counteracted some of these long cautions that we had. There were some very long cautions. It's been a problem in the truck series for a couple of years now. I would say probably, at least from when I started actually paying attention to the cautions and different stuff like that, I would say that's probably been something that's been a problem since the pandemic. Honestly, I don't know if NASCAR like kind of fired a few people or cut down staffs or whatever it might be at the tracks and in the booth to call it and everything like that. But that has been an issue for a while now. And it just, if anything, at the best, it just didn't get any better. At worst, it got longer tonight. I guarantee that Instagram account is totally gonna If they're watching, is totally gonna have a field day with half the stuff I'm saying in this. Um, but yeah, Clay Greenfield would crash though into the inside wall, ruining the strategy for the majority of the Fords to start with. Again, lost it off 4. And we saw that a couple years ago with the Hendrick cars, about a decade ago at this point, with the Hendrick cars, where they would spin off 4 like that. We've seen it with multiple different teams before, but where maybe they're just aggressive on the setup or something. Um, oh, they updated the results. Oh man, they moved Norm. All right. Well, I will take this off then because I got the updated results up, and I'll read those off after we go through the rest of the race. But yes, Norm has been moved back to 17th. Yeah, win probably doesn't help either. But yeah, uh, I like it. I like having the handling be an issue. I actually really do like that, and I think once the teams get their hands around it, it will be pretty interesting racing, all things considered. I mean, go back and watch 2007 Daytona 500, and like the first 2/3 of that race compared to the last third, like only thing that's remembered is the last third of that race. But it's like if you look at that race, a famous, well-loved race, a lot of that race was a handling issue race. Um, Thoughts on the new CW graphics? I actually like them. And I did a comparison of them on the top of the screen versus the bottom, and maybe in action during a race we'll see any differently. But I honestly think for how much of the screen they're taking up, I think the bottom is pretty good. And I like the fact that, you know, they've talked about it. I think it was like the president of the CW or CW Sports had talked about the fact that we're now in this widescreen era. We've been this way for 20 years. Like, why are we taking a third or a quarter of our screen and just covering it? Why not put it at the bottom of the screen and then we'll just have wider shots? And it's like the anti-Fox, if anything. The problem is that the names, you know, with how many they're trying to put on there, the names are so small for a lot of people, they're having problems reading it. But anyway, going back, we get it back going with 25 to go. It's a 17 and the 71 up front. Gio, I'm just going to keep calling him that. This is where he shined. And for the majority of the race, he stayed out towards the front, even got shuffled out and made his way back up towards the front. It's going to be interesting if he's able to replicate this at Atlanta or Talladega. You know, I'm going to be really interested in that. But you're seeing the shuffle of the lead back and forth. The front row trucks really had it hooked up for a while before damage late in the race. They're 4 wide going all through the pack. And then with like 18 to go, side by side, Fox can't be bothered to come back from commercial for like 2 minutes after it's happened. The big one strikes. You get a big checkup. The 91 is sent and it's off. Raja, hard hit in the wall. Glad he's all right, at least from all reports. He should be all right. You had McDowell in it. Yeah. So you had the 71, the 07, the 88, 91, 5, 02. I was surprised it wasn't a bigger wreck, in all honesty. I really am. I'm surprised that it was not a bigger wreck, and I agree with this. Good race, bad announcing. Very true. But that's what sets us up for the finish. With 12 to go, we get it back going again. The 38 and the 15 up towards the front. Front row does not go up there. Tanner Gray leads. Then the 17 takes it back, and he is just all over the place trying to keep the field at bay. There was an insane save with Corey Heim too with 10 to go. I don't know if you guys saw, I think it was entering 1 and 2. He just is like right by like sideways. Like he's basically waving at the campers in the infield and saves it. Gets shuffled back, sure, but saves it. Awesome save. Definitely. And at this point, you see the 38 has really big bumper damage. He's leading a line, but because of the bad aerodynamics of it, gets shuffled right to the back. Definitely, it sucks for him as he was really competitive tonight, but he'll have more chances. Yeah, save of the year. We've only had, if you include the two duels and the clash as actual main races, and not just, I guess the duels are qualifiers, but those in this, you've had 4 races. But yeah, save of the year. Save of the year. Yes, I agree. Demos's save was better. But then they started training it up towards the top, which I think was very smart. You could make runs really at any point. I mean, you could pull out of the top line at 15th, and in a lap or two, you'd be battling for the lead or battling for a top 5 spot. So really smart. They had the ability to make those kind of moves. So they line it up. And from about 8 to go to 6 to go, that's how it is. The bottom line starts forming up. Bailey Curry now has popped up there and is taking the lead. Then they shuffle the 17 back, and Enfinger is challenging, and then he gets shuffled because he tries to throw a late block. And then Ben Rhodes is leading, and it's just this mad dash to the finish, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Before Kligerman takes the lead with 3 to go, and he is battling beside Ben Rhodes. They're back and forth for the lead, but at that point on the backstretch at the white flag, the 99 and the 66 go for a spin down to the bottom. Then there's the big wreck in 3 and 4. Caution is out. Kligerman wins it, and that's that. For those wanting the updated finishing results that they have on NASCAR.com, I'm gonna refresh the screen on my end one more time, and then I can give you what they are. I guarantee some of these are wrong, though. I have no idea what's going on. It's completely glitching out now. Because for some reason, it was saying that Caden Honeycutt was in the top 5, and so was Clay Greenfield, and they finished way in the back. We're going to give it a shot. Well, that's saying now 6th, 7th are gone, 10th is gone. So I don't know what's going on. NASCAR.com is messing up on my end. I'll try and refresh one more time. If we can get the actual results, I'll let you know what they were. But they just keep screwing up. Yeah, I mean, I'm on here right now, and it's really bad. Come on, NASCAR. Maybe if anything, because I'll get to the super chats in a moment. If anything, maybe it's either on Racing Reference or J-Ski. Because I do want to at least get the updated results. If not, they'll be posted on Racing Reference probably in an hour or two. But I don't feel like that's too fair to go off with that just yet. So I'll look at one more, and if not, we'll go to the super chats and finish that up. So, all right, J-Ski I think has it. At least I thought they did. They're saying they did, and now they don't. Welcome to NASCAR, where nobody can give you the damn results of the race you just watched for 2.5 hours. All right, we're going to go to the super chats. I apologize. The NASCAR, the thing is, I'm not downloading the NASCAR app because it always glitches out on me. You know, I get the NASCAR app will update it, but half the time it glitches out on my end too. So we're just going to go to the super chat side of it. It'll pop up on everyone's feeds probably like 20 minutes after we get done, because that seems to always happen when I go live and these things happen. Well, let's go to the super chats real quick. Yes, let's go to those. Oh, and if you didn't notice, John Ramos, aka Eddie K player, showed up to the race in a damn suit and tie, to the point that they thought that the people at the race thought he was Secret Service, which I think is hysterically funny. But yeah. So let's jump over there. CM says, Norminator, good finish. Yes. Whether it's 15th or 17th, Norm Benning had a good finish tonight. And I love that. Absolutely love that. And I just see in the chat, hi, your favorite Harvick Glazer is here, Jarrett. And it's Kevin Harvick is not happy. Not very happy. Fred Dog says, redemption for Xfinity Roval. Yes, Parker did get another win. He got his win. TJ for the 2 race with Gio in Legend cars. Can't believe him. That's awesome. That's really cool. He had an awesome night tonight. He really made a name for himself in just about every way, I think. Can't wait to see what he does this season. Bryce says, shout out to Norm for the top 15. This was earlier. Now it's updated that he's 17th. But yeah, awesome. Everyone loves Norm. Lobster Red says for 5, why does Fox insist on using Jamie Little? Also, where is Rick Allen? Well, Rick Allen, from the sounds of it, is basically retired, at least for the time being, from uh, live sports commentating. As for Jamie Little, I guess that's all they got. Um, I really don't think that you're stuck with Jamie Little if you actually like have a little bit of a search out there for a very good um a very good commentator. There are so many good ones out there. I don't think that we should be rolling with Jamie Little at this point. Bryce here for the 5 says, I want to say that stage racing's yellows has to go. It just prolongs the race. When you slow down your product, eyeballs go away. GG's to Parker for the win. Yeah, I mean, I've noticed it when I commentate with John. Anytime there's a caution, like we lose 50 to 100 viewers, and then they come back after the caution. They turn on something else. Like nowadays, you can't just keep stopping stuff for so long. I know people be like, well, what about like football with their quarters? Well, one, it's stick and ball sports completely different. But if you really want to go down that path, halftime is 10 minutes and usually have a show or something in the middle to talk about it. Plus, people do tune out at halftime for those anyway. And between quarters usually is like 2 or 3 minutes. Same with innings in baseball. If you really want to go down the stick and ball path of like, hey, we need to like cut up the races and have these breaks, well, then you need to shorten them. Or you just race to the points and you keep going green and you go from there, because they will go for the stage points, especially at super speedways, short tracks, you name it. So I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. And yeah, a lot of people have said, look what the MLB did. They made stuff quicker, and not the sense of like getting rid of stuff. I know a lot of people don't like wanting to shorten races or anything like that, but more speed up the product. If you have to have yellows, as long as it's safe, try and make the yellow shorter. Sometimes there's no reason we should be riding around Daytona for 10 laps when it's like a 2-car spin, right? Or we just need to put Speedy Dry on the apron or something like that. Like, I don't think that riding around for 5 to 10 laps, and wasting time is going to help the sport in any way. Anthony says, no, I'm not related to Gio, but he is my new favorite truck driver. Well, thank you for the 10. And I think he's a lot of people's new favorite truck driver tonight. Let's see. Duke Chronic says, it's not a game. It's a timed race. Young Money here says turn 4 was OP tonight. That's one way of putting it. That's definitely one way of putting it. Sly Supersonic with 5 says, hey, Jared, happy V-Day. Well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Unfortunately, me and Riss both had to work tonight. Not unfortunately. I like spending the time with you. But yeah, it is Valentine's Day. Race would have been a 10 if NASCAR let them race back to the line. 8 out of 10. I'm glad Parker won. He would have anyway. Hashtag let him race. As much as I hate saying it, as much as like I thought about it after last night, and when we were talking about it a little bit more, it does suck, but making it a ball and strike call is probably the best possible thing. Because if you start putting a line on the track, well, then people are like, well, we were almost at the line. And then you're just going to keep pushing that back and forth. It sucks. I do think this one, they probably should have thrown the yellow like they did, though. Another one here from Young Money. Fox also forgot to show the point standings and went straight off the air. Well, again, with it being the first race, generally they really don't show it. Even back in the day, like when it was just set by just the finishes and not stages, they generally didn't show the point standings that early. It started at the second race. I don't like the fact that, it's this big race. They're putting big Fox races more for trucks, almost more truck big Fox races than Cup this year. And you go to some like C tier basketball game. I don't know. Maybe it's because I just don't like basketball really all that much anymore. But I feel like we could have some kind of post race show. Another one here from you says Lane Riggs' fastest lap was on lap 69. Nice. Very nice. Very nice. And last super chat at the moment here from Chris. For the 5, sorry, I'm getting all choked up for some reason. It says Xfinity Fastest Lap Award goes to Fox. The Fox broadcast crew for ditching post race to go to Mountain West mid-season basketball. Yay, NASCAR. Yeah. Yeah. At least it was nice. At least it was a nice lap that we got the fastest one. But yes, we are officially back. I appreciate everybody for coming out and spending time tonight. You know, some things might not be exactly like we like them to be, but NASCAR's back. It's Truck Night in America. Xfinity tomorrow. We'll go live after the Xfinity race. Pre-race in the morning before the Daytona 500 for about an hour or so, give or take. Maybe it'll bleed a little into the Fox window. Who knows? And then from there, we'll do post-race of the 500 and this Wednesday NWP on my channel. Lots of live streams. Be sure to subscribe so you're here for all of it. Cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow and Sunday and Wednesday and all through the week with videos and everything like that. Appreciate you guys coming out, and I will see y'all later. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.